long before the birth of a nation, before the sound of freedom echoed across the 13 colonies. This land had already lived through thousands of years of untold history. Centuries ago, when the world was still frozen under sheets of ice, a group of people crossed a bridge of land and snow, Beringia. It connected Siberia to North America. They were the first to step on the soil that would one day be called America. These early settlers, known as the Paleo-Americans, came here more than 30,000 years ago, hunters, dreamers, survivors of a new world. As time passed, they spread across the vast continent, through forests, mountains, and plains, building tribes, communities, and nations. They created incredible cultures: the Adena of the Ohio Valley, the Iroquois of the Northeast, the Puebloans of the desert Southwest, and the mighty Mississippians who built cities of earth and stone. Each left behind stories, monuments, and legacies written not on paper but on the very land itself. Far across the Pacific, the islands of Hawaii slept untouched, until Polynesian voyagers arrived between the 1st and 10th centuries, bringing with them songs, spirits, and traditions that still breathe through the islands today. But everything changed in 1492. A Spanish expedition led by Christopher Columbus sailed west, chasing a dream to find a route to the east. Instead, he found a new world, and the age of exploration began. Spain, France, England, Portugal, all raced across the oceans to claim land, power, and gold. Spain built its empire from the Caribbean to the Americas. France took the north, Portugal ruled Brazil, and the English began their journey along the eastern coast of North America. In 1607, Jamestown, Virginia became the first successful English colony. Slowly, 13 colonies rose along the Atlantic, each one a piece of a growing dream. The land was fertile, the opportunity endless, and people from across Europe came to start anew. But beneath prosperity, tensions simmered. Britain's taxes grew heavy after costly wars in Europe. The colonists had no voice in the British Parliament. Their cry became clear: no taxation without representation. The spark came in Boston in 1773, a protest known as the Boston Tea Party. The British struck back with force, and the colonies united in resistance. 13 voices became one. In 1775, war broke out, and in 1776, they declared independence. The world would now know a new name: the United States of America. The Revolutionary War was long and brutal, but under the command of General George Washington, the young nation fought with courage, hope, and unity. The victory at Saratoga changed everything. France joined the fight, followed by Spain and the Netherlands. And in 1783, through the Treaty of Paris, the impossible became real. America's independence was recognized. From that moment on, the nation began to expand. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson made the Louisiana Purchase, doubling the size of the country overnight. The dream of the West began, but so did new conflicts. By the mid-19th century, America was divided. The question of slavery tore the nation apart. When Abraham Lincoln became president in 1860, Southern states seceded, forming the Confederacy. The Civil War erupted, the deadliest conflict in American history. 4 years later, the Union stood victorious. Slavery was abolished, and the long road to rebuilding began. The United States entered an age of steel, industry, and invention. Railroads crossed the plains, factories filled the cities, and ambition seemed endless. By 1898, the Spanish-American War marked America's rise as a global power, gaining territories like the Philippines, Puerto Rico, and Guam. The new century brought both triumph and tragedy. In 1917, America joined World War I, a war that changed the world forever. But peace was short-lived. The Great Depression of 1929 shattered the economy and darkened the future. Yet, from that darkness, the nation rose again. Then, December 7th, 1941, a date that would live in infamy. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor pulled the United States into World War II. From the beaches of Normandy to the islands of the Pacific, American soldiers fought across continents. In 1945, victory was achieved, but at a terrible cost. 2 atomic bombs fell on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the world entered a new era. When the war ended, 2 superpowers remained, the United States and the Soviet Union. What followed was not peace, but tension, the Cold War. From Korea to Vietnam, from Berlin to Cuba, the 2 powers battled for influence without ever facing each other directly. At home, another fight was rising, a fight for equality. The civil rights movement of the 1960s demanded justice, freedom, and the end of segregation. The voices of Martin Luther King Jr. and countless others changed the course of American society forever. The Cold War ended with the fall of the Soviet Union, and America stood as the world's leading power. But the 21st century brought new trials. On September 11, 2001, the world watched in horror as the Twin Towers fell in New York City. The War on Terror began with invasions in Afghanistan and Iraq, and then, in 2008, the Great Recession shook the foundations of the global economy once again. Yet through every challenge, from ancient migration to modern innovation, the story of America remains one of resilience, a story of people who fought, dreamed, and built a nation that continues to evolve. From the frozen bridge of Beringia, to the fires of revolution, to the stars above, this is the story of a people who never stopped reaching for more. This is the story of the United States of America.